Luke.
Yes, it's June.
June is upon us.
Yes, it is. Not quite July.
No.
But definitely past May.
Yes.
That's when June is in the calendar. And we're going to talk about the video games that are out in it.
Indeed.
Man, it gets harder and harder to come up with new ways of introducing games of the month.
Iconic characters like Chun-Li and Ken are back with some exciting new characters and a whole bunch more things to do in Street Fighter VI. Find classic Street Fighter activities in Fighting Ground mode, enjoy a single-player story mode set in an all-new open world in World Tour, or take your fully customised World Tour character into the Battle Hub, where you can play casual online matches, join special events, and even play emulated Capcom games. Outside Xbox, our lovely friends over there have done a lot of amazing videos on that. So if you want to do some more deep dives,
we
into
recommend
some
those
interesting
videos.
things, check out the cards.
We can card them now. The character creator, as Outside Xbox proved, is absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
This game is going to be around for a long time, and Capcom will want it to be like the de facto competitive fighting game experience. They will be looking at it being like a major presence in esports and stuff like that. So they want it to arrive to a good vibe and a warm audience reception. And that hasn't always been the case for every Street Fighter game. They haven't always kind of nailed that.
They're sort of in an attempt to, they say, bring the fighting game genre into the modern world of games. So kind of how, opening up so that people who aren't really into fighting games, who don't want to just play arcade mode and things like that, can kind of wander around and unlock things, and then you do fights within that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of trying to appeal to people who don't really play fighting games, to kind of be like, why not try this? You can have a wander around. You don't have to do fighting all the time. It's not just the same game kind of thing over there.
Yeah.
But the people who do want that, that is still there, very much there.
It's got a new interesting system if you don't want to learn combos, which I find very interesting because I've always struggled.
I try so hard to do combos, and I always am.
I can just about pull off a Hadouken about 60% of the time. Which, when it's the only move you use, pro tip, why not just fire Hadoukens all the time?
Yeah.
People have no counter to it.
No.
Anyway, it's more Street Fighter, so it probably, that can only be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Street Fighter is a good time, so fingers.
If you like Street Fighter, you'll
crossed.
like this. Yeah. From Don't Nod, creators of Life is Strange, comes Harmony, the Fall of Reverie. When Polly returns home to investigate the disappearance of her mother, she ends up in an alternative world of Reverie. Whatever happens in one world affects the other, and you must use Polly's skill of foresight to see the game's conversation outcomes in advance and choose one of the personified aspirations to become the new heart of humanity.
So whenever Don't Nod does something, I do pay attention.
You do nod.
I do nod. I go, yes, you made Life is Strange, which I love.
Yeah.
So let me see what else you've made. I think this looks really interesting.
I think I love the kind of art style of it. It's very much kind of like a conversation-based thing with time powers, which Don't Nod has proved that they can do very well. What's really interesting is in the world that you're in, you meet the aspiration characters. There's 5 different aspirations: power, bliss, truth, bond, and chaos. And someone who played an advanced thing over a Eurogamer described it as watching a set of Greek gods squabble.
Oh, cool.
So you've kind of got to choose one of these aspirations, and that's okay, humanity's going to go for power or for truth,
right. So it's Life is Strange, but in Hades.
Yes.
I'm in.
Sort of, yeah. You sort of see branching narratives in advance.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And you kind of have to work out, okay, well, which way shall I go? And choosing one particular route towards a particular aspiration will close off others and stuff. So there's a lot of replayability for people who want to do, try every different thing.
Life is Strange's time rewinding was so fun and such a revelation, and I think I'm not the only Life is Strange fan who was a bit sad that it was only in the first game.
Yeah.
I'm super super keen to see what other odd, interesting mechanics they've cooked up.
Want to create some cat chaos? Multiplayer cat sim Heist Kitty is an open-world sandbox where you and your friends can jump in and knock as many things over as you want. With customization and multiplayer mayhem, this looks to be the silliest release of the month.
It was nice of them to make a game for you.
Well, I've sort of put it on this list because it looks hilariously janky. It's got that goat simulator vibe for me.
Even better. Good.
Yeah, it's basically
Ragdoll some cats.
It's an open world heist game, and the only thing that I can think that is like remotely similar, because like there are other heist games, but you kind of go off on missions. But like a heist game where you're in an open world as well, sort of Grand Theft Auto, but with cats. Like Grand Theft Auto Online, but with cats.
So
not really a story mode, as far as I know.
The only way you could improve on Grand Theft Auto, really.
Yeah, well,
and
the
it's
thing is,
enormous success. If only Rockstar had had the courage to make every single character.
yeah, like you literally can get in and drive cars. There's going to be racetrack plans. So again, like Grand Theft Auto Online, where you just have races.
Yeah.
One of the taglines I found for the game was "Cats don't have a word for consequences." To which I thought they don't have a word for anything.
Yeah.
Cats don't talk. I think it will be like hilariously janky as well. You can give your cats different hats and things, and
I want it on my
add
Steam
things.
Deck.
So yeah, meow. F1 in game form returns with another instalment, F1 23. As well as classic racing modes and F1 World, where players can find seasonal content, challenges, events, and of course PvP races, F1 23 brings back its story mode, Breaking Point, with this second tale following the new fictional team of Connor Sport and the tensions of running an F1 team.
Finally, had to talk about the cat game. Obviously, there's a new one of these games every year, but the big thing that's exciting about this year's is the return of the story mode, Breaking Point, which takes itself so seriously.
Felt like car brake.
Yep, that didn't slip past them. The first Breaking Point story, which was in the 21 F1 game, was so earnest, quite funny, oddly engrossing, and with a like gigantic twist in it that you like probably wouldn't anticipate, like from a sort of EA career mode.
The two main drivers used to be rivals.
You don't have to tell me.
And then there's also an up-and-coming female driver in the F2 thing, who they might, they kind of want to maybe bring onto the team, and she might replace one of them because she's so good. And it looks intriguing.
I read in a press release that they consulted with Jamie Chadwick.
Yes, who's an amazing driver. Even I know of her, so...
Yeah, so, so that about her experience. So that is pretty cool. I have less positive things I could say about F1's actual enthusiasm for like promoting real female drivers and encouraging them. They are making more of an effort to increase the handling feel if you're playing with a controller, as I dare say most people are. Yeah. So that's that's kind of interesting, and I think it gets at the heart of the fundamental problem with the F1 game, in that is this a simulator or is it an arcade game?
Yeah.
It kind of has to be an arcade game so lots of people can enjoy it. It kind of has to be a simulator so
that the fan...
Yeah.
I want to be able to like
even
maybe win a game once in a while.
Yeah. F1 22 I played a lot of. It started me on a sim racing journey that like has now gone off into like these much more sort of ultra realistic. They're like they're not even games anymore. They're like platforms. The last one looked absolutely gorgeous, and the visuals on this, I mean, you'll have been seeing B-roll. It's like mind-bendingly gorgeous to look at.
Yeah.
John, let's make this sequence 60 frames per second just so that this footage is as smooth as it should be.
Yeah. The Alien franchise gets a new addition this June as real-time, squad-based tactical strategy game Aliens Dark Descent arrives on multiple platforms. It's your job to inspect a xenomorph outbreak, but how well will you fare with your squad of colonial marines through this isometric adventure? So, an Alien game?
Yep.
They can be a bit hit or miss.
Very hit or miss. But when they
Alien
hit,
Isolation.
Yeah, when they hit, they really hit. And when they miss, they really miss.
I used to work in HMV. The used game section was 90% Colonial Marines.
That means some people bought it.
And very quickly gave it back.
Yes. Yes, but focus on the positives, Ellen. They couldn't return it if there weren't people buying it. So this is a real-time strategy game. It looks to me to be a little sort of XCOM-esque.
Yes, very XCOM-esque.
But it's more real-time than that, is the impression I get.
Yes, it's more real-time. You sort of, there's a kind of a way that you can slow down time.
Cool.
So you kind of like have a bit of breathing room, a bit like, you know, how in like Final Fantasy VII Remake you had kind of like, it was a little bit of, you know, whoop, wait, hang on, what do I want to do? But also, if you're not into strategy games, don't worry, because they've also called it in a different press release a real-time squad-based tactical action game rather than the strategy game.
Okay.
So they've used, there's so many words to describe this game. I'm like, look, just...
One more time?
Yeah. So, in my little VO at the beginning, I called it a real-time squad-based tactical strategy game, but you can also call it a real-time squad-based tactical action game.
Well, thank you, makers.
So
thank
that
you.
makes it really clear.
Thanks so much for giving us that freedom.
That's really great.
I feel so empowered.
So yeah, but it's, you know, it's very strategical, but there's action in it. So
okay.
Yeah.
You know what? It looks kind of cool. The Alien universe is always a good time to spend time in. So how great would it be if there was a really genuinely cracking Alien RTS?
I think it's the first time we've had that style of Alien game, and also warning, there is permadeath. So if you lose one of your squad mates,
so as it should be. Good. XCOM style. Love it. Cool.
The next instalment in the over 35-year-old Final Fantasy series arrives this month. But don't worry if you've never played one before, you can jump straight into Final Fantasy XVI, which follows the adventures of Clive, his friends, and his good dog Torgal. The first full action RPG game in the series, it promises exciting battles against monsters and the all-new Icon versus Icon battles, which sees you playing as said Icons, aka huge powerful beasts, resulting in some truly epic fights. Warning, I know the actor who voices Clive.
Okay.
So this is another person that I'm going to constantly be like, oh yeah, my friend, that's great. If you're not used to like action gameplay, you can have things like something that will help you auto dodge. There's a story mode that lets you unlock all those things immediately, so that you can just like equip yourself with what you need to be able to get through an adventure that you wouldn't normally play, even though you know you still want to play a Final Fantasy adventure and see the story, but it's a slightly different gameplay to what you're used to. So they've basically tried to make it so that action RPG players are like, yes, this is what we want, but people who still like the original game aren't going to be completely lost if that's not the sort of gameplay that they play.
Well, Final Fantasy games reliably look absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII Remake played like a dream. It was the actual combat was just so satisfying. I really enjoyed the minute-to-minute of that. It was great, and I'm sure it will be extremely weird in a lot of deeply entertaining ways. And the kaiju fights look really cool,
badass, and each one is a little bit different, so they're not all kind of like this. It's not like, hey, here's two things and you got to fight. They kind of have like different sequences. For those of you who've played like a spectacular boss fight in Kingdom Hearts, it's a bit like that sometimes, where you have different sections where like suddenly it turns into like an arcade shooter and you have to do that sort of stuff, sort of like Nier Automata almost, in terms of like the differences in parts of them bosses.
You actually met the game's director, didn't you, at PAX?
Yoshi P.
Yoshi P,
he had the honour of being my first interview with a Japanese developer. I was terrified, but it was really, really cool. And I said thank you in Japanese, and he was like, oh, and I didn't embarrass myself, so I was like, yes. But yeah, it was really nice. Like, he turned around Final Fantasy XIV, basically chatting to a lot of the fans. You could go check out PAX Insider if you haven't already. There's way more Final Fantasy XVI info in there as well. And Mike interviewed him as well. Fans are really, really excited for this game, and I think
that's a positive sign.
Yeah, Yoshi P
that's a positive sign.
Is, you know, he's a good pair of hands to look after a big Final Fantasy game like this.
All right.
And yeah, I'm very excited. Also, you can make a fuss with the dog. Originally found on the Nintendo DS, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective gets a shiny upgrade, not only for the Nintendo Switch, but other consoles and PC too. Directed by the creator of the Ace Attorney series, Shu Takumi, this crime-solving game has you play as Dead Guy Sissel. It's up to you to use his powers of the dead to travel back in time, possess items to solve puzzles, and ultimately solve your own murder and escape death.
Yeah, good. Now do Hotel Dusk. The
Okay,
Nintendo
cool.
DS game
Yeah.
in that vein
Yeah.
that I really, really would love to see a remake of.
This is really just another really good Nintendo DS cult classic with a lot of really good humour and just fun, interesting puzzle solving.
Yes.
That more people should play.
The Nintendo DS was a great console, and a million billion people bought one and played all these games, but they are now pretty long in the tooth, and like, who's fishing out the Nintendo DS to have
You can't buy things off the Nintendo DS store anymore because they closed it.
Because they closed it down. So I think this is really, really good. It's a game that is, really fun and just like part of that stable of great DS games. Like, really, really good, enjoyable narrative puzzle games on a console that was so spectacular for enjoyable narrative puzzle games. So, yeah, in conclusion, now do Hotel Dusk.
Yeah. So Luke, which
F123.
Okay.
You?
Well, for me, it's a toss-up between Final Fantasy XVI and Ghost Trick. Actually, it's been one of my. It's on my to play list for years. So I want to actually. I absolutely loved the Ace Attorney series when I got the remake on the Switch. I want to jump into this one. I'm going to be late to the party on this one and have a great time.
Lovely, lovely. Yeah, I am excited for Final Fantasy 16. Really, really excited to. Final Fantasy games are always so like exciting and full of promise.
Yeah.
And so I am excited to like try to make a really good go of getting really into it. But unfortunately, none of that will happen because I will have to find out.
F1.
Yeah, overtaking my hated rivals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, which ones are you most excited for? Which other ones that aren't on this list are you excited for? Let us know in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe because we do way more videos like this in the future. And thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. And I chose the two ones with dogs and
a cat heist game.
meow.